Okay, hello everybody. So back to programming foundations, and today's lecture is all about variables. So what we'll look at today in a series of videos is how we create them and assign them and name them, what variables are. We'll look briefly at some data types, in particular strings and integers. So strings are bits of text basically, and integers are just numbers, whole numbers, and we'll see how we can convert from one to the other. Look briefly at things called operators. In this case, it's just gluing strings together. And then along the way, we'll see some examples of how we work with strings and integers and use them to do a very simple calculator and generate some random numbers. However, before that, what I'd like to do briefly is just look at something that you may have come up with. So if you've installed Python on your computer, what you'll find is that what it has done is associate your .py files, your Python files, with the application Python. Okay, and what that means, what I mean by that, it means that if I double-click a file, like there's our very first program from last week, the HelloWorld program. If I double-click that, it'll start it up. Let's do it. It'll run instantly, and then it'll close the shell. So it opens it in a Python shell thing that runs Python programs, but it closes it immediately before you had a chance to read the output. We're going to fix that because that's a bit annoying. We can't see what the output was. We're going to ask the user to press the return key before the program exits. And we can do that using a Python command input. Input's really useful command, actually. We'll use it for lots of things. In this case, though, we're just going to ask them to hit the return key. So here's the new version of the code. I'm going to show you this in the downloads from this week. And if I open that up, notice I can right-click on this and select Edit with Idle. Okay, and that's the easy way to get it open. So I can edit it, and there you are. It's opened in idle. There's the program, and basically the program is just the first line of code. That was our Hello World program. It just prints out Hello World. But then we've added a couple of extra lines. This bottom one prompts the user to hit return. So it says input and then press return to continue. What that does is puts the words press return to continue on the shell, on the output, and it will wait until the user hits return. And finally, we just put a blank line. So that's just adding a blank line between our hello world and our prompt. Okay, so when I run it now, that's what it should look like. Let's just check that. So there's my code. If I double click it now, double click it, and there you are. It hits. It says hello world, but it also puts a blank line and then says press return to continue, and it'll wait until you hit return. You can hit whatever you like and put any, I'm just bashing away at the keys there, but as soon as I hit return, then it goes on to the next line of code, and there's no more to that code, as we saw. That's all there is. So then the program finishes. And that's really useful because it means you can run any of the programs that I've given you without having to and see what they do rather than them just disappearing. Python won't go beyond that input line, that bottom one there, until the users hit return. And as I say, because it's so useful, I put those two lines of code in all the examples from now on, so you can run them just by double clicking. Okay, but input is much more powerful than that. We can use it to get any keyboard input from the user, so we can get their name or their age or something like that, or some numbers for a calculator. So we'll do all those things later on in the lecture. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about the motivation behind variables.